So today you're going to see me play with a product that I've been working on. So for those of you that haven't followed me too long, really what I look to do is I help resin flooring businesses problem solve so they have clarity, direction and confidence. That's fundamentally what I do, and a lot of that means that I get exposed to a lot of different problems. Some are little problems that are specific to companies, some are problems that are industry specific, and this one today is an industry specific problem. And to give you a little bit of background, our industry, the resin flooring industry, uses a lot of silica, and we now know the risks associated with respirable airborne particles, silica, and the micronized silica, and the risk of silicosis. It's a problem that's already been identified. There's already consequences happening. It's not an old man's disease. It is something that young people are already dying from, and we need to be aware of how we're going to manage that. Now, it's one thing to be grinding a floor, as you can see here, and there you're wearing the mask and so forth. You can't always eliminate the risks, but if there is an opportunity to eliminate the risks, well then that's what we should do. And one of those things is looking at the use of sand, quartz, and micronized, specifically micronized sand. So that can be silica flour, silica powder, silica blends and so forth. Now in our industry that shows up in cementitious levelers, it shows up in PU cement fillers, aggregates, it shows up in epoxy mortars, epoxy self-levelers and so forth. So it's prevalent, it's heavily used, and what I wanted to do was identify if there was a way that we could overcome the use of silica, or can we substitute the raw material for something else. And traditionally we've done so with things like talc, using talc as a filler, which is quite useless. It's very soft. Silica is really the ideal filler because it's relatively hard, Mohs hardness 6.5 to 7. It's chemically inert. It's cheap, it's readily available, it's screened so we get all different sizes. It doesn't affect coloration too much and so forth. So, we kind of have this ideal filler, and then yet using talc isn't good enough. Using marble chip or marble chip powder is better, but it's still a soft material compared to Mohs hardness 6.5 to 7. At the other end of the extreme, using aluminium oxide could be a valid substitute, but it's expensive in comparison to sand. So we sit there with a fundamental problem of how do we get this material that sits somewhere around that 6.5 to 7 mark, is chemically inert, readily available, screened or sized to suit what we do, and so forth. And most importantly, doesn't have a natural affinity with quartz, meaning you're not going to get traces of crystalline silica that leads to silicosis risks in the filler. So that's been the task that I undertook. I started that research some years ago, and it took me through dealing with all sorts of industry experts when it comes to different minerals and how we can find minerals that will not naturally contain elements of quartz. And I've got to the point now where I have sourced the right minerals, it's being dealt with at the right quarry, like it's being processed at the right quarry. And the final step for me was, if we're problem solving to that degree, instead of dealing with 10 different grades of sand, why can't we create a blend, already blended, so that we're really just stocking one product that we use for a multitude of things. And yes, it's not going to be ideal for everything because it'll be too sticky for something, or it'll be too runny for other things, but I think we learn ways of adapting and overcoming that type of problem if we actually could get the one product. So where I'm at today is you're going to witness, I'm going to be doing some playing with a filler that I have sourced. This is in Australia, of course, so I'm sorry if you're seeing this video overseas, it won't be available to you yet. But it's called ResinJack filler. It's come about through a lot of research. You can see that it's pre-blended. It's got powders and particle sizes of different distributions. The aim of it is to maximize the pack density of the product so that it serves the purpose as a filler, uses the least amount of resin required to do so, it closes off as tightly as possible, and so forth. And most importantly, there is a dust, and no dust is good for you, but this dust doesn't contain micronized silica. So we've achieved the fundamental aim as well as other aims that I set out to achieve in this too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it in conjunction with a resin. I'm going to colour it up a bit so that it's a bit closer to the grey coating that's going to be used. I'm going to infill this saw cut because it's a bit busted up. I don't like the look of it, so I'm going to infill the saw cut, grind it flat, and then recut it nice and square so it all looks beautiful. And then we're going to do the coatings here and see how it all blends together. So a long intro video, but it was an important one to give you the context of why I'm doing this work. And you'll get to see the end result, and let's see what you think. Love your feedback and comments and thoughts on the use of a silica-free filler blend. Is ResinJack a good answer? Well, we'll soon see.